Okay guys, this is the fuses tutorial. So as I was talking about in the capital ships one, I generally use the fuses already made by dev, just for the sake of putting them all in. And each one I kind of separate it into the classes. So for example, the Krillian gunship, for example, is a smaller fuse, and that's typically one I'll use for either an escort, frigate, or escort ship, or a light capital ship. For the medium ones, I'll use either the strike cruiser one or the VSD. Usually I use the VSD for the little bit larger ones, and for the big ones, the MC80 and the ISD, they have the same fuses, and the fuses actually can get quite big. So I'm just going to get to the dreadnought here, and I'm just going to change the view because I saw in game I was a little too far back here. So I'm going to change it to 1,000 when I was testing it out. It would all worked out wonderful other than that. So this is the fuses. These are all the fuses here, and this will go up to two folders, the two files in the FX file, the fuses and the explosions. So the fuses, you'll see that Dev has conveniently wrote out all the different effects that you can use, and I'll get into what these mean. Actually, I'll tell you right now. So when you're doing these fuses, for whatever reason, it doesn't blow up the entire model if you splice the different components. So you have to put in this part right at the end here, destroy group, and attach it to the root, or it won't blow up the entire model, which you also have to link to, if you see later on, to these collision groups. So for example, the DP-20 gunship had 6 collision groups, and for it to actually blow up, you need to put in those collision groups, or it just has 0 hull and it stays alive. So that's how these collision groups link. They link to the fuses. So I'm going to go to the DP-20 just to show you. So you can see the DP-20 has a whole bunch of hard points. Now, going over this very quickly, Dev has conveniently told you what's going on. So it has 2 light, 2 heavy, and 1 death fuse. So you have the DP mains. DP mains are hard points you need to put onto the ship for the fuses to happen, and that's where you have to kind of erratically space them all around. And this is the fuse, and this is the name of it, which links to your ship arc. This is the lifetime, so this is how long that fuse will last, and whether or not this is a death fuse or not. This is the effect that you want to happen within this fuse, and it can happen at any of these points, and it's just random. So at point 0 in time, right here, when you hit that hit point, sorry, I forgot to say that too. So this right here, that's the time for it to start, and this is the hit points it will start at. So when I get to 400,000 on my 600,000, this effect will happen. When I get to this effect will happen. When I get to this effect will happen. And this is the duration, the length of time it takes to get to that, to the fuse, for the fuse to start. You see that this one light has this effect in here, and then you want this effect in here, and then you're going to have this effect in here at certain times. You see how that changes, and then it's attached to this whole fuse in general, and that's what that means. I think, anyways. So once again, the name of the fuse links to this at a certain hit point. It then starts the effects. So I want a large explosion at any of these hit points on the ship. I want it to occur at the very, very beginning, and then I want the sparks to happen. I want it to occur at half of a second after the start of this. Hope that makes sense. So then what happens is that you're going to have the death fuse, and that's the big explosion you see at the end. So what you need to do, you have to have this, the death fuse, and you call that death, and that links up to here. So when I have 1 hit point left, that's when this fuse will come into play. I'll say it starts at 0 time, and I have all these explosions at this place, and then I have all these explosions again at this place, a little bit more explosions here, then I have more explosions in the aft, and you see how that works out. And then what you link to is So you want to destroy the root, and what actually I should put in is all these as well. So I didn't see that, I didn't have that. So I'm going to add that right now, where I can have it fresh in memory. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that down here. So that means that when this ship blows up, I'll destroy everything. So it's going to destroy the group, zombies 1, zombies 2. I'm probably going to need more. And then, okay, I think it was 3. And this links up to how many Sir components you had. So that's why they're all named zombies, which is easy for me to plug in. Hope you guys will do that, but I understand it's sometimes difficult to understand what part of the slice there is. So what I mean by that, just to show you what I was talking about. I think that's it. Right, so the Krillian Corvette was made by you guys, and you've named each component very, very well. The thing is, though, when I go back into the game, I have to name each component here, or it won't blow up that zombie part, or rather the splice component. So if you can name all zombies from 1 to whatever number you need, that's great. But if you need to name them this way too, that's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. Just a little easier for us to plug in later on. But whatever works. So that's why that's important. Okay, now I think that's the crack. I only had one component, so I only had a root, so I didn't have to worry about anything for this one, which is nice. But it doesn't. None of these have. None of the ships I put in have the hit points in, which I'll show you guys how to do. It's really, really easy. Just time consuming. So it has, let's see, 5 or 6 components. I got that. Alright, that's the DP-20, right? Okay, so I added the Dreadnought, so what I'm going to be doing is I'll be using the strike cruiser, because that's what I based it off of. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. We see all the hard points go into this each effect, and that's where it just randomly places. And these are quite a long file. It's just because there's just so much going on. Alright, come on. I haven't added this yet. But it's probably just easier to do. Okay, so immobilizer's in, and I'm just gonna take this, and I'm just gonna copy it. Now this was the strike cruiser, and that's why there's many hard points, and you can add them or subtract them depending on how many effects you want in that range. Really doesn't matter. Whatever it takes, how many hard points it takes to cover adequately this ship is all you really need. Whether it's 44 or 60 or 20, you know. Thing is, though, it just takes a while to put those hard points in. That's the only thing I don't like about it. If somebody can do that for me, that'd be great. Because it's kind of grunt work, unfortunately. Alright, almost there. Okay, so this is all done. This is the exploding part. The sound effects, which I don't really need, and I'll try to take those out. And those are the zombies I was telling you about. Alright, so I don't need all this because I don't have any of that. I only have the root to worry about to destroy. That's it. Alright, and I'm going to take this actually the timeout because I haven't found this time works well. And then this should be the death fuse. So I'm going to start here. Just scroll down. make sure this is the right one. Sorry. Alright, so this is the one. So I'm going to start here, and basically this is kind of the easy job here. So you'll see that it's easy once you do it like this. So this, as I was saying, would link to the ship arc here. Sorry, it's going to go all the way up here. So this will link to this right here. That's how those tie in. So this is pretty easy. It's just replacing the dreadnought. And it saves me tons of time in adding things. Okay, so that's all done. Okay, and that destroys my route, which is perfect. So that's the one big file done. The other one is the explosions file, and that links to something else, and I'll show you. So that links to in here. If you see the explosions right here, that's the explosion effect when it blows up, and also the amount of death it causes, or the damage it causes around it. So depending on how many components you have and how big of the explosion you want, you can add a primary, secondary, and tertiary explosion, or you can just add one. Just depends how you feel, really. So for this one dreadnought, I think I'm just going to add one. I just had in, and you would place those other explosions could happen in the zombie routes here, but I don't have those, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So he's going to make an entry and call it Dreadnought. And that's my explosion. I'm just going to rename it to match this right here. So, might as well just do that. And that's what that links to. This is shatter, and this is the type of effect, and this is the impulse of the damage. And that's the shooting damage off of it. And this is the radius of the damage it can cause. And this is how much damage it causes through the explosion. Now the mobilizer has different effects, and you do that, and as I said, you attach it to the different collision groups, and you have a secondary and tertiary and all these other fun stuff, which you can play with. We can all play with when we get time to do that, but right now it's putting the shit in, really. So that explosions is now done, and now the least favorite part of mine, and what I'm going to do is the Krillian Corvette. I think it's only, just make sure I know how many hit points I need to add here. So that ties in, as I was saying, the DP main. 17, if I probably can do that, right? So you go to the ship model, and so this is CR90, and you pull it up, and all you're going to do is add the different hard points to it. Not that difficult. So I usually, so this is W. W changes to wire, and also you can see the hitbox there if you want, which is an S. What I do is, I'm just going to get this better. Okay, so what I do is I'll put a new file in, and I'll make sure that you always load it to the root. It's a fixed thing, and it's just DP main. And you can start. So I use a numbering scheme, and you just press OK. Now you won't be able to see it. To move it, so you'll see here this X, Y, you press Shift, and you hit your right mouse button. Now it'll change the direction. So now I can move it to the Y, up and down, and Z. So this is moving it. So up, down, as you can see. And when I move it up, down like this, it goes Z or Y. So I'm just going to move it to the front of the ship. Oh, you press the two mouse buttons down together, and you can just slide the ship like so. So hold Shift and then left mouse, and you can slide it. wherever you want it. Okay, so see that what you want to do is place these hard points just kind of on the semi-inside like that. And you can place them in random positions if you want. So I'm going to shift and right mouse, now it gives me X, and I'll put it right in here. Let's come to, and so right there, like so. That's where that first explosion will happen. And then you just validate it, and voila. Excuse me. So now all you got to do is just keep on adding them. And what I do is I just kind of use this number, so I saw as a -70 here, and I'll apply it and see where I am. And you just place them in random areas. It's not that difficult. So once again, I wanted to move it to the right here. And I'm just going to put the wireframe in now, and I kind of want to move it back. So I just kind of go back and forth when I add these. And let's see. So I want this one to be a little bit lower, and that's where that explosion will be. So there. That's all you really got to do. Not too difficult, eh? Okay, guys. I don't think it's going to be important for you guys to watch me hardpoint them all, hardpoint this entire ship. Actually, maybe I'll show you what it's like afterwards when I'm all done. So I'll pause it right here. Okay, guys, I finished all putting on all the hit points, so you can see them all as I go through them. So you can see how it's just kind of erratic areas all over this ship, just covering all the points because that's the way it all happens. So that's what it should look like after it's done, just covering the entire ship with these random points that really have any rhyme or reason to it as long as you covered the whole entire ship. Okay, guys, I'm just going to save this right now, and this will be the end of the fuse tutorial. So now when you blow the ship up, it'll be all pretty. Okay.